Okay, so this is Lauren Robles, and this is my film analysis of the movie Freaky Friday for interpersonal communication. So, to give a brief overview of what this movie is about, it's about a mom and a daughter that don't see eye to eye. They're kind of fighting a lot. Um, they get magically switched into each other's bodies by a fortune cookie at a Chinese restaurant 2 days before the mom's wedding to a guy that came into their lives a few years after um, the dad of the family died. So this new stepdad is coming into their lives, and Anna, the daughter, is not so happy about it. But they're also fighting about a lot of other things, namely music, and they don't see eye to eye that way. And this magic fortune cookie switched their bodies into each other's bodies the next morning when they woke up. Anna was Tess and Tess was Anna, and they kind of freaked out a little bit. But this made them live in each other's shoes, and they walked in each other's lives and through their daily struggles, and better understood each other by the end of it. Um, I thought this was a really good movie for showing examples of the importance of nonverbal communication, namely things like body movement, vocal expression, and appearance. So, to clarify what I mean here, I'm going to go into body movement. So, for body movement, I thought it was really interesting in the beginning of the movie how Tess was trying to wake up Anna, and she was holding onto her bed frame, like the top picture here in this slide. Now the bottom picture here shows the exact same thing happening, but this is after the switch. So Anna, who's holding her mom's feet, is actually Tess, and vice versa. And I thought this was a really good example of body behavior and body behavioral movements. Also, the night of the switch. One of the scenes was the scene of the switch was that they switched body positions during sleep, so at exactly midnight. So I thought that was pretty interesting as well. Um, the next slide here is um, just I found this. It's kind of like a promotional poster for the movie. It wasn't actually a scene here, but I thought this was a really good example of how posture is very giving and shows a lot of the circumstances in this picture. So you can see here on the left that Tess is looks very prim and proper, very professional, and how Anna is more laid back and slouchy here and looks just like a general teenager with this little happy little grin here. And then they switch places, and in this next one on the right, and Anna or Tess in Anna's body um, is in the business suit, and um, Anna is in her mom's body playing on her guitar. And I thought that was um, really interesting to see how just the difference in posture can really say a lot about a situation. And these are the opposite people standing side by side doing the same poses. And it kind of gives off the same vibe, but it has nothing to do with the person and no context to what we're thinking about. I mean, what we're looking at. So this is a really great example of how body posture is a very big form of communication. Um, and so this last one about body movement is about gestures and body orientation. I thought this was really one of my favorite scenes also in the movie of Anna having her feet up on the dashboard. Um, this is one of my favorite scenes of Tess doing it later after the switch, and it was just, it made me laugh. So I put that in there, and you can see how her arms are folded, her feet are up, and she looks just generally displeased here. And I'm talking about the picture on the right. She looks very displeased and like she's argumentative. She looks like a teenager. She looks, I think they do a great job of acting in this movie, um, especially picking up on body movement and stuff like that. And so, another concept about nonverbal communication that I noticed in this movie is voice. So the speech changes, the emphasis and the tone of the speech, the pitch, volume, and even like pauses or using words like or So I have I have a few good examples of what I mean by this. The first one is here on the left of um, just immediately after this switch happened. Um, Anna is in Tess's body, and this is one of the most iconic scenes from this movie, where she goes, "Look at me, I'm old. I'm like the crypt keeper," and she's freaking out. And the way that she is using her voice in this was a really great example. So I think volume and emphasis on this was where I was getting at with this picture. So she goes, "Look at me!" Like she's like freaking out. Her emphasis on those things. I'm like the crypt keeper, and I think the volume because she was hysterical. It's a really telling for the situation, and I think that if you didn't have these um, vocal cues in nonverbal communication, because she's not saying that she's freaking out, she's just freaking out, and you can tell. So if you didn't have that, it would look really, really weird, right? So my next one here is a good example of tone, I thought. It's the top right picture here where she's pointing at her mom. And this is after the switch, so the mom is actually Anna here, the younger daughter. And she's saying, "Is this a tone? Do I hear a tone? Are you, are you using a tone with me?" And kind of that's the line of the movie, and she's kind of scolding here. And I thought that was a perfect example of tone and how that you know shows the motherly um, switch that happened of that's her mom scolding her. And so this bottom picture was one of my favorite things too in this movie. It's like, "Could you like chill for a sec?" It says. And I thought that was perfect for voice and paralanguage, because it has to do with um, pauses and using words like and those kinds of things, and emphasis on those words as well. I thought those that you can just tell that she's juvenile when Anna in Tess's body says, "Could you like chill for a sec?" to her fiance, and he like looks at her like, "What? Okay, yeah, I can like chill." And so the final concept I want to talk about nonverbal communication in this movie was appearance, of course, right? So one of the most iconic things about this movie was this um, transformation that the mom goes through in her haircut, in her makeup, in her clothing, so her physical appearance. And so that's in appearance, you have hairstyle, clothing, makeup, and just your general attractiveness. How you look to other people is a non-verbal communication. Um, so in this picture here, you can see this is in the beginning, right as they change and she's trying to get ready for work. The mom is kind of dressing how the daughter, how she would normally dress, and looks like she's wearing an Oxford shirt here while she's in Anna's body, and her hair's tied back, put in a bun. And you can see, in this movie that really shows what's going on in the situation without saying anything really. And so yeah, so this next slide is just an example of what I was talking about this makeover. How she has haircut and all, and one of the funny scenes from this movie is she goes, "I look like Stevie Nicks," and Anna turns around and says, "Who's he?" I laugh because if you know Fleetwood Mac, I mean it's hilarious. And so the final picture here I have is has to do with hair and makeup and just your a general attractiveness and appearance here. So it's of Anna before and after the switch. So before the switch, she looks like she could use a shower. She looks like she could use a hairbrush, um, or and she wears a lot of makeup and accessories and stuff. Versus this other picture here after the switch when that's actually Tess in Anna's body, she brushes her hair, puts her hair back, wears minimal makeup. That kind of stuff really gets across that they're switched, and it gives you the whole she's smiling versus this other picture on the left in the pre-switch where she's not smiling, she looks mad, she that kind of stuff. It's a lot of nonverbal communication. So I guess to summarize, what I'm talking about in this analysis is that um, nonverbal communication was vital to the success of this movie. These actors would not have been able to sell, you know, what was going on here without the use of these, especially these three concepts of nonverbal communication. So I think what I get out of this is that things like body communication, vocal expression, and appearance play a huge role in communication that I think is often overlooked. And I think that when you think about communication, so often you leave out that part that's like, what about how, I didn't say that, but what did you show? What does your face show? How are you standing? Are you standing cross-legged? Cross-armed? Are you looking? How do you look um, in your appearance? That kind of stuff. Do you look professional? That kind of thing. And it gives off so much more than we even understand. And so that's why I was really interested in doing this movie, especially for this chapter 7, about nonverbal communication. I like it, and I think that I saw the statistic that was saying about 80% of your communication is through nonverbal cues. And I thought that was so interesting. And I saw that statistic right about the same time that I was choosing a movie um, for this project. And so I really enjoyed kind of diving into it, and it was really good and really fun for me. So, yeah. This last page is just the reference page, and you can see my references here. And I just put a cute little picture there. Nothing to see. All right. Anyways, thank you.